I'm here today with personal trainer Lorraine Heffernan. Hey, Lorraine.
Hey Chris, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. And Lorraine runs Energize Health and Fitness out of Christchurch, New Zealand here. And I'm so glad you can join me on this interview today, Lorraine.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
You're very welcome. Now, this thing called wellness, Lorraine, what's your take on this word? It seems to be around a lot in recent years, this wellness thing. What's your personal take on wellness?
I guess wellness for me is definitely overall. It's not just one. It's not the one-stop shop. Is it? It's not just about how fit you are, or it's we're pulling in lots of factors here. We're talking about your mindset, your nutrition, your overall well-being, how we cope with stress, recognizing things that add stress, and sometimes too much exercise adds stress to the body. It's recognizing that. Too restrictive with our diet, again, that can add stress. And so it's getting all of those, getting a balance. I think wellness for me, rounded up, is balance. And that pretty much is on every part of it, every aspect. It's a balance, getting the balance right for what fits you at that time, because that balance can change each time with some different stress factors. Where you at with your family, you've just had a kid, then your exercise, that absolutely has to change. So it's finding the balance, but that being able to shift with that balance and finding it, and then thinking, is this adding? I think a good way to figure out if you've got the balance right is when you the component of wellness and say, is this amount of journaling I've stressed myself out to do, is that now causing me stress? Okay, so then we need to release off that. So it's finding the balance of where you're at, and is it giving to me, to my wellness, or taking away? And it's having that checkpoint in, and that's kind of where I sit with wellness, is that changes all the time, and it's being able to check in and see where your balance is at.
Nice. And Lorraine, what was your grounding and background being a personal trainer yourself? What got you into health and fitness and this wellness space?
That's a very good question, Chris. What got me into this was my wellness overall was not very good. I definitely had two sides of the coin. The first being, I didn't have a very good relationship with food, and it was a thing that I could control, and I went down a wrong path with that. Came back the other side of that and almost rebelled against it when I went to America and thought, I can eat what I want, I drink what I want, I don't know anybody here. And it was like a reinventing myself, but to another scale of me coming back, probably three times the size of the woman I was when I first went out there. And not about the size, but more so about the unhappiness that had built up over the time that I was there, even though I thought I was having a great time. Yeah, I definitely had got my balance wrong quite a bit over there. And yeah, I came back from America. My brother picked me up from the airport. He didn't recognize me. He said, "Oh, you've got an older looking Lorraine," and I was like, "Oh, I don't know, I've got that." And it was my grandfather actually that who said, "Aren't the old people funny how they say it blunt as it is?" And I remember his words as I sat at the kitchen table. Jesus, Lorraine, you didn't shy away from the table. That was his way of telling me that I had supersized myself in America. And yeah, and then basically from there, yeah, I had a long road with battling, trying to quick fix. I just wanted the quick fix. I just wanted somebody, come on, give me the Atkins diet, give me something quick. I didn't want to hear that it was, it's a balance. It's about, you've got to get them all right. It's exercise, nutrition, mindset, it's the whole balance. I was like, I just want the quick fix. And I probably jumped in and out of that for a few years, and then eventually decided, which this all makes me sound very old, Chris. I still think I'm 21. But I did then study. Eventually, I decided that I was going to figure out what the secret was that all these personal trainers knew about being fit. And yeah, figured out that there was no real secret. It's just about balance. So I was back to what I was told at the very beginning. And yeah, I guess I then have become so passionate about sharing this journey with people and helping them also. I remember thinking to myself when I was trying to lose weight, was that, oh, I'm just big boned, or oh, it's fine for them, you know, somebody else. It was always harder for me in my head. And then realizing that actually, no, it's just the changes, but small steps. And that's what I'm passionate about, is small steps for the big outcome. Yeah. So
That sounds like a real tipping point, you know, maybe with your granddad in that conversation, a real watershed moment in your life that, wow, looking ahead to your future, you want things to change. Where did you extract the motivation to change at that point, Lorraine, when you had that conversation with your granddad? Was it looking in the mirror yourself at your own life and your own choices, or where did you garner that motivation?
I think I knew that I wasn't in a good place. My mental health was suffering. And I just, you know what, Chris, I genuinely was so tired. I remember distinctly waking up one morning and thought, I am so exhausted of waking up and thinking, oh, why did I eat that yesterday? I shouldn't have done that. And the very first thing that I would think about, that would come into my head, was what I ate the night before and the day before, and how disappointed in myself. And it was so draining, that disappointment. And I just thought, oh man, I can't carry on like this. Life has got to be better than this. And that's all I thought about when I woke up, when I went to sleep, what I ate, how useless I was, and how disappointed I was in myself. And I knew that you know, that was not how I wanted to live. And that is what, and for a long time, even after I became a personal trainer, and I remember when I went for my interview at Loughborough Uni, and I sat down in front of a panel, and I almost was like, oh, like, don't worry, I won't train anybody. I just want to know for me, almost like making it an excuse straight up, as in, don't worry, I won't unleash on anybody else, that I didn't think I was good enough to actually become a personal trainer. But I was just so hungry to know for myself of what it was. I knew I wanted to change, and I wanted to change for good. And yeah, and then years later, I became really good.
You certainly have, doing these ultra marathons, and I think I bumped into you and your hubby on Mount Oxford last year when you were.
Yeah,
We were being Nancy's. We were doing one loop, and you were like doing like 5 or something like that.
Yes, that definitely was, and that even the first ultra that we did, but it was my very first off-road marathon, I think, was a big turning point for me. And it was definitely this ultra marathon that I'd ran, and I thought, oh, I can't do that. And even when I was doing it, I definitely remember thinking, oh my God, she's doing it. She's actually doing it. And I think that was a time for me, looking back onto the old me who, when I was trying to start my running, and my mom used to take me out. She'd be like, come on, one more length. And she was quite a runner. And I remember thinking, oh, it's fine for her. She's fine and skinny. If I catch her, I'm going to sit on top of her and put her in the ditch. I was like, this is horrible. I hated it. Like, running to a lamppost was so hard, and just being out of breath, the burning in your lungs. And then to actually run one of the marathons that I ran was Moda Tapu, and that was probably 5 or 6 years ago, and that was massive for me. I smiled from ear to ear that whole time running that course. I trained hard, and that was a big moment for me, even though I'd been a PT at that stage for, I don't know, maybe 8-9 years. I was like, oh my God, I'm actually doing it. Like, this is massive. Like, I never thought I'd be like a long distance runner. You know, it was just those limitations that we set. And that was definitely another limitation that I broke. So then went on to try and do 100, as you do.
Oh my God, that's absolutely fantastic. Now, talking to you a little bit earlier around, you know, setting mini goals and, you know, incremental gain. I know that's important for you and your thinking and how you work with clients. Can you talk to us about maybe a really effective means of goal setting that you use with your clientele?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's, for me, what I really do with my clients is get them to break it down, whatever the goal. So, you know, if Lorraine, let's say, had come to me X amount of years ago and said, oh, I want to run an ultra marathon, 100 Ks. You know, okay, yeah. And where are you at now? Oh, well, I can't run a K. So you've got to scale that right back. So that's a big, massive, you know, difference there of what I've talked, not being able to run a K to run 100. But you try to break it down into 4 weeks increments. I think they're really important. Sorry. I did have a call pop through. I thought they
Oh, yeah.
automatically keep them off.
Before
I'll carry on. So that 4 week number is really important because you can measure that, and we all know about SMART goals. But what I like to do is, yes, it needs to be specific, and it needs to be measurable. You need to see, can you achieve it? And then I like to about, is it sustainable? Can you actually carry on with it? And if not, then to try and reframe it again. So let's say you go, right, 4 weeks, I really want to, the end goal is I want to lose weight, but we break it down. What can we do in 4 weeks? Okay, well, how about we measure around our waist? How about we say, let's get 2 centimeters off? So very measurable, very specific. It has to be measurable. You have to be able to measure it. And then when we can reevaluate then at the end and say, right, well, actually, we've only got to 4 weeks. Let's have a look. Are we tracking where we need to track? Yeah, actually, we're doing really well. We've lost 3 centimeters, or we've lost 1 centimeter. Okay, then we might need to go back. What didn't work so well within those 4 weeks? The goal that I said that I was going to achieve that, I need to cut out my midweek drinking Monday to Thursday. I'm a lady who, let's say, drank Monday to Saturday or Monday to Sunday, 7 days a week. So you're going to say, well, let's break it down. Let's cut it out for 3 days. Let's change your portion sizes for one meal. So just not trying to overhaul the whole thing. And we're trying to break it down into small, manageable and maintainable goals, so that each goal that we break down and we say, well, how are we going to achieve it? Well, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. But actually X didn't work so well because the kids have been at home or I've been in lockdown, and that's not very achievable because I have got the kids. Okay, well, how do we bring the kids into this? How is it going to be sustainable for the situation that you're in? So whether that's 4 weeks, and then maybe we're out of lockdown and then the next 4 weeks look slightly different. And then how do we change still on that pattern? And you've got to take into account the different things that happen. Even within those 4 weeks, something might happen. Let's say if I had a client at the start, which I did this before the lockdown, we had a goal that we were trying to achieve. Things changed. We went into lockdown. How do we then readjust the goal? We don't need to, we have to be able to be a little bit fluid with the goal. We can't be like, that's the one particular one. If I don't get that, there's lots of other added benefits that are going to come in, but it's breaking it down and being able to change with the goal as it comes, and not being too hard on ourselves. And, there's always, I remember my biggest thing that I used to always say to myself, come Monday now, that's it. I'll start now, come Monday. But the damage I did between Friday and Sunday, knowing I was going to start on Monday, was huge. Whereas if I just said, okay, let's just take it nice and easy. Monday, we'll see what happens. I'll go for a walk. You're not saying you're going to walk Monday to right through to Sunday because you've set the bar too high. So you're saying, I'm just going to go once. And you say, oh, well, and if you know in your heart, well, that's not enough to achieve my goal, but it's better than what you did last week. So that's a forward step. So it's constantly stepping forward with small goals without overwhelming yourself with too much.
And if I was to knock on your door, Lorraine, and say, I'd like you to be my personal trainer for 3 or 6 months and get me into, my life more into a sense of well-being and balance, where would you start with me?
First of all, I'd say, don't knock on my door, Chris. We're in isolation. You're not allowed. 2 meters. No, I'm joking. So yeah, it would be, I would start with, what does your current lifestyle look like now? Okay, so you're not going to come to me and say, Lorraine, I want this wellness. I now want an overall wellness. I need to know where you're at right now. What's your starting point? And trying to figure out what your stresses are, where are your hurdles? So we'd identify, and chances are you've probably tried this before. So I would ask you, have you tried to achieve this before? And what happened? What got in the way? I think identifying those stumbling blocks, those little key barriers, identify them, notice them, and say to yourself, right, well, what situation, what would I do different? Because, right, what I have been doing hasn't been working. But I'm not going to try and change everything. So we're going to pick one big hurdle that you're like, oh, this always gets in the way, my 6 o'clock evening snacking. She comes up and it bites me every time. This is one. I say, right, well, let's just focus on changing that. this is the one thing. And then you're like, actually, my sleep is really crap and I'm really grouchy, I'm really stressed out. And then all of those, you're snacking at 8 o'clock, or you're snacking at 6 o'clock, is probably hindering your sleep. You're stressed because you probably haven't had exercise and you're not relaxing. So they all have little factors and they all will impact of your overall well-being, but we'll try to shift the balance without one big I guess when people go on this crash diet, now you've shifted and there's no balance, there's just one big massive shift in one part of your life that you have now said, I'm restricting everything, I'm not allowed drink alcohol, I'm not allowed to eat snacks, I've got to cut out all the chocolate. You've just limited yourself. Now that, no matter what benefit you might get from that, it has stressed out every other factor in your life. Like you've now gone to yourself, oh my God, this is so stressful, I can't have this. And your kilter is all off. So it's trying to get those small balances so that we don't have a massive shift. And that sends you almost in that rebellious, because that's what I used to be such a rebellious to myself. I'd be like, oh, screw her, what does she know? Back and forth with myself. So it's trying to go, okay, Lorraine just said just once, okay, just once. So one thing, I'm going to pick this. And it's like, and we like to give out a little chart. And the chart actually works wonders, even though you think, oh, but it's so rewarding to have a chart up in your fridge to say, I've said I'm going to have 4 non-alcoholic days, and you get to put your tick. Like, it gets contagious. You want to put that tick, and then all of a sudden you want to put in an extra tick just to get an extra bonus point. And then at the end of that 4 weeks, which is a really important part that I forgot to mention in the last question, is that at the end of that 4 weeks, Chris, I really want you to reward yourself for what you've achieved. So if you've cracked that habit, so we've broken the habit, we've picked up a new habit of a herbal tea in the evening, and we've at the end, well, what's my reward? Well, it's not really going to be out and grab yourself 3 bottles of wine, because that's probably going to come back and bite us. It's like, actually, there was a real cool pair of shades that I really wanted to get, or something that you'd like to get them, but you can't quite justify spending the money. But actually, the money that you've saved on not having those few drinks, and if you don't give yourself that reward, the whole exercise has been pointless, because you've literally just said to yourself, all that effort was worthless. So you have to, if you say to yourself, oh my God, I would be so proud of myself if I achieved that in 4 weeks. And in that moment, what do you think you deserve for that? Because at that moment, you think it's probably not going to be able to happen. You would be like, oh, I would be so proud and I would have X. You need to buy X at the end of that 4 weeks to prove to yourself that you did it and you're worthy. Like, that's a huge point.
Yeah. And what have you been noticing about yourself, the sort of the barometers of well-being, psychological health, fitness, and nutrition? We're now in week 3, week 4. I totally respect you for getting online and working with your clients and doing the online model. But have you noticed anything about yourself, or learned anything about yourself and your family in these 3 or 4 weeks in sense of your own well-being?
Oh, absolutely. I've recognized heaps. I am loving having the time with my kids. Absolutely, there's definitely days when I think, oh my God. But everybody is getting, I feel like we don't have to make excuses. If my kids come in, it's fine. We're in lockdown. It is what it is. And we will carry on. And they don't see mom so stressed out, rushing to get to the gym, rushing to go teach a class, rushing to get to a meeting, dropping them off for school, shouting at them to get their bags, or just general life. As we take more and more on. Business owners, we then have financial issues, all of those things become, and our wellness is tipped out again. So I guess taking it and pressing pause has been a blessing, and I think we're so lucky. But in the same time, it's I suppose I have probably taken comfort is that we're all in this together. We truly are. Like, there isn't a business out there that hasn't suffered. And Adrian is really good. He's a project manager, so he's quite good under pressure. So he's the nice and calm of our family, and I'm the, oh my God, like, and he'll just say to me, get out and run, but when we're in this 2K limit, there's only so far I can run. But it's been really good for me to go, actually, can I control this? No, this is out of my control. So I can't worry about it because I can't change. Me worrying has no impact on the outcome. It has absolutely nothing. Can I do anything while I'm in here? Well, actually, I could maybe put my business online. I could connect with my clients that I really, really miss and I need to connect to who still really need me. Yes, I can do those things, but can I worry about, am I going to have money for the commercial rent that I have? Am I going to have enough money for the business loan? I can't worry about those things because my hands are tied. I can only do my best, and I've learned to accept that my best is enough and be proud that I can pivot my business in 24 hours and feel really grateful that I can take what I have with a strong community of people and pivot that and put it online. And when I was in the first 24 hours, when they said they were going into lockdown, I was so stressed out. I thought, oh my God,
Yeah.
what am I going to do? I've got this massive lease. I've got, like the bills are huge. What am I going to do? And I thought, well, I'll take it online, but I'm not an online trainer. I'm not Joe Wicks. I've never done online. I don't even know what platform. And I was so like stressed out. And then I thought, they just need to see me. Put your camera up and just be you, because I'm not looking to expand my business. I'm looking to keep my guys sane through so I can just be me because they know me. And I guess it's that imposter syndrome. I thought, I'm not an online trainer. I can't step onto this platform. I don't have all the programs ready to go. But I guess I realized I didn't need to, because they want me for me and I need to be okay with that. And that was a massive turning point, that actually just being me is enough. This keeps these, and I've received messages all through the last 3 weeks of how I've helped them massively with their mental health, to be able to carry on with somebody that they know, to feel safe, to be in a safe environment where I know them well, they trust me, and we just have fun. It might just be me talking to myself for 45 minutes, but they get my banter. they understand. And yeah, so, and we've had some newbies come along, so it's been, it has been such a learning curve for me. It's
Yeah,
huge.
I had a couple of WTF moments in the first couple of days as well. I was like, so what? New
Yeah,
Zealand lockdown? Not little New Zealand.
I
Oh,
know.
the black tide's arrived. So
Yeah.
I think it's amazing what you're doing, honestly. In sense of clients and breakthroughs, have you got an example, perhaps, or even in a team environment where you've achieved? You might have a client who's come along and their mindset hasn't been right, and you've had to work with them and take them under your wing. Have you got an
Yeah.
example perhaps of a breakthrough, a remarkable breakthrough, and what do you think the sort of learnings or secrets were to that particular breakthrough?
Yeah, they're definitely even actually there's an older guy that I trained, and he became as part of a group with some others, and it definitely for them was a social, like they like to come to the group classes. It's a social thing, and I guess even doesn't matter what age they are, the competitiveness is still there. It's like, oh, I want to kind of lift as much as he's lifting. I want to do as much as XYZ is doing. I'm a man and I should be able to lift. And until I sat him down and kind of said, what's your goal? Like, what are you trying to achieve here? Like, yes, I know this is a social thing this is a real social aspect for you to come, but actually, while you're here, how about we actually try and achieve something? Like, what are we trying to achieve? And for him, it was to be able to hike and to be pain free. Now, he has had lots of knee issues, he's had hip issues. And he's in his 60s, so he's wanting to keep going without having these niggles. So we toned it down, which might sound quite different. Instead of, we ramped it up and we made sure he was going guns blazing. Actually, we toned it down. You don't need to do this class or this class. Let's be really particular. Let's use your time efficiently. How about you come and you strengthen your glutes? We'll strengthen the core work, and we'll ensure that you can go out and you can hike those 2-day long hikes, and you can be pain free, injury free, and that you are enjoying life. And that was massive. I think it was a change in his mindset. And that it didn't matter. He could come to the core class where there was only the women at it, because he had a goal. He needed to strengthen these glutes that would enable him to carry on with the long-term goal of hiking all over the country and taking 2 weeks off with his partner and going hiking in the mountains, because that was important to him. And it didn't matter that the other guys at the gym, their goal was to get stronger and to lift heavier. great, that's their particular goal. So I guess by sitting down with my clients individually and saying, hey, what is it that you're trying to achieve? Because don't just go with the masses and it's the cool thing to do. Well, actually, come on, you're in, you know, this is what's important to you right now. So it's figuring out, you're being able to break down those barriers and explain. That was a massive kind of a yeah for me, because it was a hard nut to crack. I was just like, come on, I know you're killing yourself here. You're putting in the hours, but we're not getting what you need from it. So that was huge, yeah. And there's been heaps of weight loss journey stories for lots of my moms that I've taken on board,
Yeah.
which has been huge.
Say if you've got a client, Lorraine, and they've been doing really well and they've come into lockdown and they're at home and they're doing zero, they're not even walking, or they might be overeating. How do you deal with that in sense of inspiration and motivation? And what's your sort of angle on personal motivation with your clients? Because, you know, ostensibly we need to motivate ourselves at the end of the day, but what's your
Yeah.
sort of approach there to mindset and motivation?
And that's a good point, Chris, about how people cope in the lockdown. And it's almost like there's been absolutely some that have kind of popped in and out of the online stuff and kind of gone, yeah, it's there. But I don't want to push it too much on them, but I'm touching base with them. I'm catching up. I'm giving them a flick of a message to say, hey, how are you coping? Whereabouts are you at? And finding out what the other factors, and maybe giving them some suggestions around some yoga, or just to let them know that maybe the walk is enough. And whatever, if their goal was to lose weight in these next 4 weeks or whatever, it's not actually, how about we just maintain? Let's maintain. Let's get out of the pajamas. Let's put on that active wear and let's get out for a walk, and know that you know, if they're like, oh, I've only been walking, it's like, hey, you're walking. That's a hell of a lot more than what some people are doing. Okay, that's better. Okay, let's see how can we. So trying to make them positive of, you know, play the game with the kids. There's definitely that expectation that we put on, even when people say, oh, you're in lockdown now, off you go and tidy out your cupboards, rearrange your wardrobes, you've got all this time on your hands. And I thought, well, actually, maybe I don't want to clean out my cupboards or tidy my wardrobe or wash my windows. It's downtime, and maybe that's what's going to recharge my batteries. So what are your, why does, you know, looking at the individual, what will recharge their batteries? Maybe it isn't them staying motivated on the online stuff all the time, but it's them having that connection, knowing that they can jump in and out of it. Say, hey, switch off your video, just put it on in the background. You might feel like you want to join in. Don't stress, do a little bit, do 10 minutes and go off and do. So not that added pressure to be at every session to overdo it. So figuring out what they need to recharge. They could come out of this in another, I think this next week 3 has been quite hard. I think week 3 is kind of, it's a realization as well of that our normal won't be normal anymore, and how we're going to adjust to that. And I think the next week will be a bit of an upset again and a little bit of rocky, but I think we'll adjust to it a little bit quicker and go, okay.
It's definitely transformation. I mean, we can't not be transformed through this lifestyle sort of axe that's come down through our social norms, and learning at home, and it's a transformation around the world, no doubt about it. And I spoke to someone yesterday, Christina, on transformation. It's another interview that I did. Lorraine, about mind, body, spirit, if we talk about mind, body, spirit, and interconnectedness, you know, in sense of our being, what's your sort of belief system in that sense? I mean, do you believe we are all fully interconnected, mind, body, spirit?
I do. I probably don't have enough on it myself. I do believe there is definitely something there, but I probably struggle a little bit to connect into that part, which I think I probably need to do a little bit more of. It has been put to me several times. I'm like, and maybe it's the Irish in me. And I'm like, oh, I'm not quite ready to tap into that part. But there's definitely a connection, absolutely 100%. And it's going there when you're ready, or into it when you feel ready. It can't be forced. It's allowing yourself to just be where you're at. And I think trying to quieten the noise as well. There's a lot of noise in all of us. And wherever you can find that bit of peace, for me, it's running. And maybe that when I connect, that's when I feel fully connected, is when I'm out running and I'm at peace. And I think that's kind of and it probably needs to be in the hills, so maybe the roads aren't quite doing it for me, but it's the best that I've got at the moment. I get to take my daughter with me on these runs, so then that's a little bit different, so that's me connecting with her, and so that's been really special. So I guess, yeah, absolutely there is a connection in it all, but it's you finding what that is for you. It doesn't necessarily mean to meditate, to sit in silence, because sometimes sitting in silence for someone doesn't help them at all. There's too much noise in their head. So why put yourself through that and say, I need to sit, I just need to connect, and then they're stressing about it. Just find whatever that is that allows you to quieten the noise, because we have so much in. I definitely found a Shakti mat helps tune out the noise.
A what?
A Shakti mat, have you ever heard of them?
No.
They're a mat that's got like these really hard pins or needles kind of things in them.
Okay.
And you lie on it, and let me tell you, you have to think about your breathing. And that was the only time I did one with Casey, from oh, she'll kill me ever after forgetting the name of her yoga, but I'll remember that you when you lay on it, you had to remember your breathing, and she talked you through your breathing. And it's probably the only time in my life that the noise was completely gone, because I had to concentrate on my breathing. So it's finding, yeah, it's finding where that noise lessens for you, because sometimes the quiet room can be a lot extra noise for people, and I don't think that's fair to force them into it.
I think it's finding what works for you in sense of what fits for you and your lifestyle and your beliefs. And for some it's yoga, for some it's meditation. It could be other things. Could be, as you said, going out and running 25 Ks. Yeah, it's what gives that anchor and balance in your mind. In sense of, say, if someone's at home and they're a bit stressed out, worrying about their business, Lorraine, have you got any strategies or tips for sort of stress busting, or to focus on health and well-being, to eliminate or to sort of puncture that stress?
Yeah, well, I guess the big part, first of all, I'm a big believer in lists. So I think maybe writing out what those worries are, because you could have 100 things worrying in your head, but when you put a pen to paper, it's probably 2 things maybe. And you're worried about the XY bill, but you're worried about this, but it's come down because the money coming in. So, okay, well, what can I do? Is there anything I can do right now? Have I done everything? Whether it's I can't get any money in. Can I stop the money going out? How can I leverage that? How can I lower those down? And then if you have done everything you possibly can, but reach out. The banks are there to help. There is help out there, and it's there's definitely I guess for a time when you're on your own and you thought, oh my God, my business is failing, and it's a reflection of you, and can't help but feel these things, and to reach out and ask for help was really hard. I think those barriers have come down in these last 3 to 4 weeks, because we're all genuinely in this together. And I think if you're genuine and you can come across and reach out and ask for help, people are more than willing to help. There is help out there, and the power is in asking and saying, hey, or bouncing ideas. I mean, I had a call the other day with 2 other girls who were both all in different businesses, but we just bounced ideas off each other. How, ideas that I, for a PA system that I would have ideas for. I have a clue, but I was able to come up with ideas for her business, and likewise her for me. And so it's just being open to change, and being, what, if there's genuinely nothing that you can do right now, then just be, then say, spend the time with your kids, because when that lockdown is lifted, you feel that you've put everything in place so that you're ready. And then, because then you're going to be, back. And that's another hurdle, I guess. I think we need to take time to write a list of what's worth rushing back to, and what value did we get out of it? Did, whatever things, write out all the things that go with your business and see what actually is worth it. Has the business still coped without you doing a particular thing? Actually, can you take that away and have that hour back to yourself? Or
Yep.
I think that's important, and we have that time now, because we do get caught up. We get caught up in the rat race.
Yep.
And it's a stop button without any penalties as such. So.
Yep. Just going
start.
back to your story when you went to the US and you maybe put on a little bit of weight, and then where you are now. I'm really curious what the essence of your kind of spirit of motivation is to get where you are now from where you were then. What would be what would be that?
Um,
What's the essence of that inner motivation to drive you to where you are now?
um, they've changed along the way. Each time has changed. Different, you know. At the time, it was for me. I really wanted to figure out how I could become better, how I could solve my problems. And then I thought, oh, maybe I can help a few people solve theirs. And then I started my business, started running classes, really enjoyed it. I'm a real sociable person. I really love meeting new people. And yeah, so being able to connect with people, being able to share, hey guys, it's not that bad. Like, I've been in those dark days. I've been in the cupboard at that bloody packet of biscuits where you go, oh, I'll have one. Oh, I've had one, now I'm useless. I might as well eat the whole thing. I've had that cycle, you know, I've had that whole cycle with myself. So I've been there, and I'm certainly not one to judge. And so, because I can slip back into it, you know, absolutely. But it's being able to recognize it and say, okay, well, let me be here. Let me have my salt and vinegar chips. Let me have my moment. Let me have my time. But I don't feel guilty for it anymore. And that's huge. It's shifting the guilt away.
Yeah.
Is massive.
What about pain and discomfort? Because doing an ultra marathon or training or a high level of performance, there's going to be pain. Your muscle fibers are going to be tearing. Your lungs feel like they're going to be exploding. When it
Yeah.
comes to psychological fear and confrontation of pain, and then if it comes to coaching and accountability, I'm most curious asking personal trainers around, accountability and how do they manage that with their clients or with their teams. Can you talk to me a little bit in that sense?
I think for me, the expectation I guess I put on myself, well, I'm a personal trainer, I have to practice what I preach. Um, and I definitely would not set a task or expect something of my clients that I wouldn't make myself do. Now, that doesn't mean that a triathlete that comes to me, I'm not going to go out and follow their program because I can't swim. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that the level of commitment I expect them to give to a program, that's what I expect from myself. So I don't have myself on a program the whole time. So what it would be is that I say, okay, here I'm in uh, a maintenance stage. Okay, so I don't really have anything coming up. So I'm going to sit, and this is what this looks like. And then I'm going to set myself a challenge at another. And then my accountability might be that I say it out to my members. I say it on my Facebook page, or I say it to Adrian. We had a wedding. We were meant to get married the 1st of August. Obviously, all that has been put on hold
Oh,
because of this. So yeah, we were meant to go to Thailand to get married, and so that has been put on hold. And I was in wedding mode training, so I definitely took the first couple of weeks of COVID to sit and drink my wine and eat my salt and vinegar crisps and feel sorry that I wasn't going to be in my wedding dress, but I was going to enjoy the alcohol and the salt and vinegar crisps for a week or so. And I did that, and I allowed myself that time to just go, oh, this sucks. And then got back motivated to focus on my business and be like, okay, I want to be able to fit the wedding dress. Now I don't know when it might be, but so. And I 100%, I only thought about this the other day. Well, what's going to keep me motivated? I don't know when the wedding is going to be, and that was my drive for this chunk of time that I had carved out. So now I need to find something else, and that may be a particular event. But I will find something to keep me motivated, to keep me honest. I think you can't just kind of, and it doesn't need to be a race, or it needs to be just a particular goal. It might be whatever that is. There needs to be something that you're striving for at some point. If it's just maintenance, then that's your segment. You're like, the next 3 months is just maintain, focus on my business, keep a nice level key, enjoy life, not have too many, not training all the time, especially if you do like a big running event, you do put a lot of time into training. So again, the balance, maybe the business didn't get as much attention, so it's trying to balance that out.
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, certainly when I obviously you're from Ireland originally, and the Irish folk know how to have a good time, don't they? In sense of partying, and when you're online with Ange, you're talking to your clients, your groups are having a wine, and so I get the impression from your essence of your personality, you like to have a little bit of what you fancy, but not being too sort of draconian with yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. I definitely, I'm a big believer in balance.
Mm.
I don't like to, I think I have found in previous times, if I restrict myself too much, I fall back to old habits. I fall back to that rebellious. And that, for me, that's not to say some people really like to live in that strict border, and that's fine. It's finding out what works for you. But for me, it brings back bad habits. It brings back memories of me saying, oh God, when I restricted myself. So I've got to remember, I've got to stay within my guidelines, and it's finding out who you are and what's important to you. And yeah, so find it, definitely there's a lot of a journey, and we're still, we're still finding out who we are and what, and times change, what makes us tick. We've now had kids, and how you come back from that, like that's a whole other juggle, a whole other ball game to when it was just me and all I had to worry about was, actually just eating right. At the time it was massive to me, but now I'm like, for God's sake, like I'm bloody 19, 20, like come on, but that was at the time, that was my biggest thing. And now obviously it's being happy and healthy and content to for my daughter as well, for her to have a good body image and to feel confident and comfortable within who she is. So that's huge.
Yeah, that's a great link to my next observation around, role modeling for being, you're a mum, and, we're all modeling ourselves to our children, 24/7, and they're like sponges, aren't they? They're looking at every word, every gesture, and that they're modeling. So were you conscious of having a healthy well-being and lifestyle role modeling for your children?
Yes, absolutely. That was definitely a big goal pusher for me after I had my first, was to get back on the fit. Because, I obviously, after you have a baby and coming back to it, it's quite hard. You've got to juggle quite a few bits. But I was like, actually, this is the most important. My only job is to ensure that she feels confident and comfortable within her body, and that she, it knows what a happy, healthy, balanced lifestyle means. And that's huge. Yeah, so she definitely is. You reap what you sow. Oh my God, she's a mini me. I tell you, she's a hard casket. So she's funny. She cracks the whip on me. Come on, mom, let's go for a run faster. But she loves it. She absolutely. But yeah, and she is a sponge, and we never in this house, we don't weigh ourselves. We don't talk about good food, bad food. We talk about sometimes food. We talk about choices that we make, and we don't try, we measure it as we see. Yeah, no, actually, you've eaten enough today. That's okay. There doesn't need to be an emotion with it. But here, you're feeling down. Here, have something to eat. Or we really try not to use food as a reward. It is a function. It's and obviously there is times, quick, go have something, just have a treat out of the press, be quiet. But it's as a general rule, but still they still pick stuff up, and whether that's they've talking at school with other friends, other surroundings, things that they see on the TV. So she has mentioned some things that definitely has been a point for me. Oh, where have I gone wrong that she feels like that? But I think it's not about what she's hearing, it's how I deal with it, and how we've spoken openly and honestly about different factors, about we're all different shapes and sizes, and we all process things differently, and just try and be honest with her, but to keep it simple and not overcomplicate stuff, and not bring my own issues into it either, as well, where I think, oh my God, I can't tell her she can't have that. What about if I make an issue of it? And you're thinking all these things. It's like, actually keep it simple. If enough is enough, that's enough. Don't make an issue about it. Because actually you've had enough for your body to function. No, you don't need any more. And it's not because I'm saying you can't eat because you might put on weight. I'm saying you've eaten enough. So it's finding those boundaries, and they've been huge for me to be maneuver that with the kids as they get a little bit older.
Yeah, life's an amazing journey of self-awareness, and as you say about the risk of projecting our prejudices or what we think and feel about certain things onto our children. Whether it's I didn't like maths, I hate maths at school, or that cream cake, that's devil's food, or what have you. It's been really, and it's always a journey, isn't it? I mean, sometimes I catch myself saying things to my kids. I'm thinking, oh, that's not right.
Yes, exactly. And that's it. And we're learning. We're parents. It's not like none of us were dropped on here going, this is exactly how you parent right. None of us get it right completely. But once we do the best that we can, and we know our kids better than anybody. So we, know what's the best way to handle that situation more than anybody else out there that will tell us, and we can just observe from everybody else and take some other stuff on board, but do the best that we can with what we've got. So
Just
yeah.
um, briefly here on the future, the health and well-being in the industry, and you're a trainee yourself, Lorraine, you've got your own small business. What do you see as being the future of the industry, or this health and well-being whole space, even through COVID, through the lockdown, through this transformative phase? Are you seeing anything that is coming to you as being a change in the future?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not, I'd love to have a crystal ball to have a look so I could know what way to guide my business as to where this might end. Look, there's so many sides to it. More people are probably seeing that actually training online, training at home, I've got myself some more time. I think we're going to become more precious with our time, and we're not going to be so willy-nilly to give it up. And we might think, actually driving in the car to get to the gym has taken up X, Y, and Z of my time. So I might cancel that. Oh, actually the online stuff isn't so bad. I'm actually motivated. And then so will you lose clients to that? Or do you just adapt and try to keep that as part of your revenue stream? Have you ended up engaging with people that either have never exercised before, they've been at home and they thought, actually, maybe I should get into a bit of exercise. Oh, what does that look like? Oh, I quite enjoy this. Maybe I will join a gym when it opens. They haven't been part of a gym, or they'll stay with their online trainer. Or the other side of it, you get to connect with people all over the world. My friends that I've had in America, I've had in Ireland and England, I've now been able to connect with them and bring them into this. So that's been a massive point in that as well. So I guess, and I think businesses as well, corporate side of it, they'll start to see the value of having the exercise for their client, their staff have now probably been doing a bit of exercise at home, and they think, this isn't so bad, maybe we can get a trainer into, depends on where we're at with social distance, and it's going to change all the time. So I think we can plan and prepare, but not stress out too much about what that plan looks like, because it's unknown. But I think that if you I'm trying not to put a whole business plan together of this is what I'm going to do in level 3, this is what I'm going to do in level 2. I can only gauge and I can only go with what is put in front of me. And as much as I might panic to say, I need to be ready to bounce by the time level 3 is told what it is, everybody else is shuffling for the same thing. Everybody else is trying to adapt their business, adapt their lives to suit into level 3. So take a moment, breathe. It's not going to be perfect, but done is better than perfect. Get it rolled out, get it started, remind them that you're there to help, and just be consistent, and just, come from the right reasons, be there for the right reasons for your members. And hopefully that, they'll want to support you. They'll want you to make it through to the other side, and just keep pushing forward with each other, and, try not to get yourself stressed out about it. Do what you can, play the cards that you're dealt, and just see what comes, and we will be all right. We will all get through this.
Yeah, a few of the other interviewees have talked about community, building a really that authentic sense of community, whether you like yourself working from home with whatever 20, 30, 40 clients, or you're a gym that's going to its 500, 700 members. It's building that sense of connection and community.
Absolutely. That's what keeps them going, and another place for them to reach out to. That's why we had our quiz night.
Yeah.
Of 50 odd bubbles signed in, and it was just a way to connect outside of exercise, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, fabulous. Just finally here, Lorraine, if someone's watching this interview and they'd love to connect with you, how do they find you?
Well, I am on all social media platforms, so on Instagram, Facebook. I may have 1 or 2 videos on YouTube. I might need to brush that up, and you'll get me on my website as well. So it's energizedhealthandfitness.com. And just flick me an email, flick me a message. I'm happy to have a chat to help you through if you have an idea or a goal, or we're thinking of running a challenge coming up soon, and it's just those who are really new to exercise, wanting to get started and stay injury free and unsure where to start with us, and we'll help you out.
Yeah, obviously my wife Ange trains with you and does the boot camps, and I know she's got a lot out of that over the years.
absolutely. She's been awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much for that. Hey,
No worries.
great talking to you today, Lorraine. Take care of yourself and your family, and
Lovely.
we'll catch up soon.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Chris.
Okay, Lorraine. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.